My name is Joshua Henry, born to newly married 16-year-old parent. My dad dropped out of high school to work, but my mom stayed in school and ended up graduating. When I was about 4 years old, they got a divorce. My mom met David. They ended up getting married. I struggled listening to David, mainly because my dad wasn't very present even when he was there, so I had a hard time listening to a man tell me what to do. I didn't talk to or see my dad a whole lot, my real dad. Major source of a lot of issues that I had throughout my whole life, continuing to today. Around the age of 16 was when I first started really drinking. The whole week, even though I was in school, was about planning who was having the party that weekend. By the grace of God, I did end up graduating high school. I moved in with a bunch of buddies. They were all 21 and over. Thursday through Sunday mornings, it was a constant party. I lost my grandpa Don, that was on my mom's side. A month later, I lost my great grandma. I didn't want to think it was real. I didn't want to deal with it. Since I was born, with my parents being young, I was close to all of them growing up. I was arrested on Christmas morning. Legal driving issues. I didn't have a license, plates were bad, no insurance, just a whole slew of things. It was a very depressing moment. Drank, smoked pot, trying to numb any feelings I had. I let my pride get in the way. I'd get mad and quit, or I didn't like something so I'd quit, or I'd get fired, whatever the case might have been. April of 2001, I lost my great-grandfather. So I decided that I was going to come down for the funeral, and I was just going to stay. My dad took me to the Missouri Veterans Cemetery because my grandpa that passed away in November was a Korean War vet, so that's when they had his funeral. So I buried two grandpas in one day. I was 19 years old, and I just got drunk with everything that I'd been through within the last 6 months. Finding ways to drink, taking stuff, just any way I could to drown any kind of, and numb any kind of feelings I had. I ended up getting a job at Silver Dollar City. My dad and Tana, shortly thereafter, they got married and they got a house. So I moved in with them, and things were good for the most part there. But I was sneaking his alcohol at night when everybody was asleep, getting belligerent drunk, coming home, not knowing the next morning how I got there, who drove me home, who I was with that night before, or anything like that. It was a complete blur for a long time. Then I turned 21. My drinking increased even more. I started hanging out with an older gentleman I worked with named Danny. He was about 20 years older than me, and he was a full-blown alcoholic. So I ended up moving in with Danny. On top of the drinking, we were taking pills along with that. Lost my job again, had no income, lost, completely just lost. The drinking just never stopped. It was a consistent every night thing. That's the only thing that was consistent with me at the time, was drinking. Then on January 5th of 2005, my friend Danny, who I lived with, his son Stevie, committed suicide. I fell deeper into alcoholism and drug abuse. It just took a toll on me. I was doing good in my job, working hard, but partying even harder on the weekend. Just like I did up in Minnesota. Thursdays through early Sunday mornings, party every night. On January 5th, 2006, 1 year to the day that I lost Stevie, my mom called to inform me that my stepbrother Zeke, who I looked up to my whole life, committed suicide. Two loved ones in exactly 1 year, both dead from suicide. The alcohol didn't cut it anymore to numb my deep down pain. So I graduated to hard drugs. I was stuck in a very vicious cycle. I would wake up hungover, go to work. My boss would give me a line of dope. I would work my butt off all day, go home, and drink enough to make me fall asleep that night. Behind closed doors, I never changed. Always finding some way to numb my pain. In 2009, I ended up meeting my children's mom, Jamie. She was on felony drug court. But I saw through all that. I saw her heart, and I saw a different person. Even though I knew she would get in a lot of trouble even being around it, I continued to drink and get high. She was not taking part of it, but she was allowing me to do it. When we found out in the summer of 2010 that she was pregnant with our son Uriah, my parents helped us with a car, and then they ended up buying us a house in Forsyth. We got married in January of 2011, but that same year Uriah was born. That was one of the happiest days of my life. Things were really good for a while. I wasn't getting inebriated, but I was still drinking. Jamie and I started getting into pain pills when Uriah was around 2, and it took hold of us and hurt our marriage, finances, and our ability to be good parents. Right before we found out that Jamie was pregnant with Mayland, my grandma, my mom's mom, she passed away. I was standing at the end of the bed with my great Aunt Mary and my wife Jamie as they pronounced my grandma dead after trying to do CPR to bring her back to life. Jamie was due any day with our daughter Mayland. After not paying our bills, our power got shut off. We ended up moving in with my parents, Mom and David, here in Ava. The depression really kicked in. My drinking, I was trying to hide. I attempted to end my life, but I couldn't do it. In December of 2015, the situation where Jamie said she wanted to go see a friend, but we could all tell that something was off. She was high. I got a phone call from her the next morning, said that she had totaled the car. Basically, with that is when I said, my parents both said, you're not welcome back here anymore. So one bad decision, I lost my wife basically, and my kids lost their mom being there. 2016, my grandma Sue, my dad's mom, she passed away. All this death over so many years, I never had closure because I numbed myself for so long. As time went on, I was lying even more about my drinking. Ex-wife, we found out that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer. We got to spend time with her, the kids got to spend time with her, celebrated her birthday, and it was just good to be able to be around her and have a peaceful time. At that time, it had been 7 years since I had seen her. Things were somewhat peaceful until my certain secrets were brought to light. I had been taking and pawning things from my parents and things from my fiance to supply my addictions. I was kicked out in February of 2023. I lost my home, my kids, my relationship and trust with my parents, everything. After basically living in my car for a couple of months, I was able to move in with my real dad and stepmom. I got a good job delivering for Amazon. My kid's mom took a turn for the worse and started declining. Through that time, her and I spoke through messages, and we both forgave each other. Unfortunately, in September of 2023, a few days after her 38th birthday, she lost her battle with the cancer and passed away. What broke me even more was the fact that for so long, when she would call out of the blue and talk to the kids, I wish she would just disappear. Be careful what you wish for. But life has to keep moving, and so did I. I was working a lot, which let me justify getting stoned and drinking during my off times. Easter Sunday of 2024, and I was homeless again. Constant thoughts of I would be better off dead. I didn't feel like anyone cared anymore, but in reality, it was all my doing. Towards the end of May in 2024, my car had broke down right in front of the big cross on South 65 by Branson. I wanted to go and take a picture by the cross, thinking I was doing the right thing. I was reading the Bible recap every day, I thought I was doing right. But the problem was when you read the Bible recap, you can't smoke a joint at the same time. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to. To go try to start my car, it would not start. I was broke. My car was broken. I sat there for a couple days just stuck. I wrote a note to all my loved ones. I placed blame on a lot of people that I felt did me wrong. I was on a prescription for a very high dose sleeping medication. You're supposed to take 1 a night. I took 10 and decided I was done. I got scared when I felt them starting to kick in, but I just thought, who cares? And I closed my eyes. But God. I woke up the next morning. I struggled over the next few months. Car completely breaking down again, living in a homeless shelter for a month. After a few weeks of doing the same thing, missing work because of my mentality or my addiction, informed me that they had terminated me from my job. No way to pay for the room at the end of the week. I couldn't face anyone about me losing another job. I laid in that room sick and depressed from Tuesday until Friday afternoon. I had lost all hope. I called 911. Either you send someone to come get me and help me right now, or you're gonna find a dead body in this room. They came and took me to the hospital, nursed me back to health, put me in the psych ward for about 4 days. Then they released me on September 10th, early that morning, with nowhere to go. I called my mom and I begged her to come get me. But reluctantly, she came and got me because I told her I didn't want to die on these streets. When she came and got me, 2 days later, I applied at the Mount Moving Ministry House because I couldn't live with my mom. She didn't have the means to support 2 people, 2 grown adults. She was doing good on her own but couldn't support me, and I understood that. That Saturday, we had a talk. It was the first time in my life, first of all, hearing my mom tell herself and tell me that for so many years, all the things that people had told her about me being an addict, that she denied. When she said that, that's when it clicked. For the first time in 20 plus years, I admitted that I was an addict. Sunday morning, I got up, I walked to Cross Point Church, sat through the service, and when they did altar call, I came up to the altar, and my prayer was, God, I need a miracle. So I walked back, not knowing what the next few hours would hold or even the next week. That evening, Sean Wilkinson called me, asked me a few questions. The last question he asked me, when can you be at the house? My prayer got answered. Monday morning, I arrived at the Mount Moving Ministry House in Ava. Being in that house showed me a newfound love for God and others. My faith grew very fast, and I didn't even realize it. I had no way to numb my feelings anymore.
so I had to learn to deal with it. After about 6 months of being in the house, being productive, I had a good job, I was doing good. I was offered the opportunity to move back home with my kids. Today, I am nowhere near where I want to be spiritually yet. Where am I as close as I want to be with my children? But I am much closer than I was this time last year. But the simple fact that I have dove into God's Word and am now really understanding it and applying it to aspects of my life, I know our God has a plan. I had moments throughout my life where I appeared to be following the Lord. It was just a simple front to hide who I really was. I have a lot more work to do, but I honestly feel as though I have done a 180 and changed my life in the direction it is going. My biggest downfall is not fully trusting God's direction sometimes. But so many times now, when I do get aggravated or mad, I don't let those feelings linger in my mind like they used to. I will go and dive into the Bible. Now I have thoughts of how to change the bad, mean thoughts, to understand that everything that happens in this life, good or bad, has a lesson to teach you. True change comes from your heart, and the Lord will direct your heart if you just listen and pay attention to the signs. My whole life, as long as I can remember, I've lied, deceived, taken advantage of, hurt a lot of people. My biggest praise right now is I was able to forgive myself. I still remember my past. I will never forget it. My past is a compass, not an anchor. The verse that I've really tried to hold on to very, very strongly and follow and listen over the last several months. Ironically, it is Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, because the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And I truly believe that.